Okay, I started recording. Okay, so yeah, let's do this way because we don't have another option. Okay, so first I would like to say thank you everyone who has joined us today. So and I do apologize, like people who will be watching this as a recorded session. So I do apologize. I really don't know what happened to the technology because I did it last time, I did it before, and everything just was the same and it worked out perfectly. But today, I don't know why, but technology is just not responding. So unfortunately, yes, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but such things happen. So again, hello everyone and welcome. So in my interview series, like chat series that I started recently, I invite people from all over the world where people who work in the education industry and people who, just a second, I will also be admitting people. So today I have a special guest speaker from India, a person who has worked so much in the education industry, and a person who, like, I watched, Satyam, I watched your TED Talks, and I watched what you've done actually in like so many countries for so many people. What you've done is really amazing and inspiring, and I'm so happy that you found time to be with me today and with the rest of the people who are watching us. So thank you so much for this, and yeah, I'm really happy that we can do this live session. And thank you also for your permission to use the topic for our chat today. Teachers don't just teach. We will be discussing this in detail because it's also, this topic is one of your TED speeches actually. So so those of you who don't know me, my name is Lana and I come from Europe, from Ukraine, and I've been teaching more than 10 years in different countries. And I'm Cambridge certified teacher, and I have a degree in linguistics. So if something goes wrong again with the technology, please let us know in the comments. And also, if like as we go along, okay, as we go along, also maybe now you can just write where you are watching us from, right? So so welcome everyone. Now Satyam, over to you. And by the way, also today is Teachers Day in India, so happy Teachers Day to you. In Europe we celebrate it on the I think it's on the 5th of October, so happy Teachers Day. And now it's over to you.
Thank you so much. So first of all, I'm very grateful to all of you for being here because yes, technology was a bit of a problem. But again, exploring the other side of technology, we can record it and we can put it online for anyone to see, watch, comment, and share with us what they think about. Well, it was extremely kind of Technology Karnataka with a degree in information technology. And I thought that fine, I'm learning all this engineering and computer and math, but had it not been for my school, had it not been for my teachers, I don't think I would have been able to even crack the engineering exam. So I figured out that only 10% of Indian students make it to college. No one really asks about what about the rest 90%, which is a huge number. So I said, fine, I cannot change the country. I cannot change the education system all on my own. But then that is not a good enough reason for me to not do anything. And I said, fine, I don't have a lot of responsibilities. I've just graduated. I don't have any debt, no loans. So can I do something I'm truly passionate about? Teach. And I applied to Teach for India and said that, okay, this is one area where I'm going to be working with kids from low income community, giving them resources, because it always happens, we just had a second wave of corona across the world. If you are rich, you have much better chances of survival. If you're poor, you probably won't even have access to an oxygen cylinder. So that's a life and death question. If you expand that life and death question, I think the same applies to education. So if you're rich, you have access to excellent education, you get into top universities, you get a great job, and then you continue being rich. If you unfortunately don't belong to that quarter, then you don't have great education, you don't make it to college, and you continue doing the same things that is never going to get you. So my idea was very simple, that creating an equal society for all, and everything starts with a very small step, but the step should be in the right direction. I joined Teach for India, and I'm very, very happy to share with all of you that with respect to teachers, don't just teach. We were able to get every single student of ours to college. 100% of our students, 90% of them being first generation college students, which means no one from their families had ever attended college, made it to college. And once they make it to college, and once they have understood the importance of it, I'm quite sure that they are going to pull out 3 generations out of poverty. They are not going to be poor. Their parents are going to have a better access to healthcare and any facility required as they age. And then their children are going to get access to excellent education. So it's 3 generations that you can power or empower through education. That was my goal, and I think I'm very happy with what we have achieved together, Svetlana.
Yeah, I think this is really inspiring. As I mentioned in the beginning, right, you help people. It's like, this is exactly the meaning, like teachers don't just teach, right? It's not only about teaching, it's about like helping people. Especially, I know that you work with kids, with teenagers, right? And you really, like, from what I've seen, you have changed the lives of so many people. And like what you do is just like, it's amazing, it impresses, and you are a role model and example for so many people, for so many educators around the world. What if we look at this first question, teachers don't just teach, right? So I've been thinking also like what I can say about this, and like other than being a teacher, right? Like, for example, when you're in a classroom, like what other qualities are also important when you teach, right? Like what else can you add to just being a teacher? Is it just teaching your subject, or is it like more than just that?
Well, I think, if you get into a class and ask a random student that, okay, let me teach you photosynthesis, or let me teach you quadratic equation. I think in most of the cases, you're rather than teaching the student, you're scaring the student. Because these words are alien. The student has never ever heard of that. And why do you think an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old kid would be dying to study photosynthesis? There's absolutely no reason. So it is for the teacher to create that atmosphere in the classroom where the kids feel curious enough to learn. So I think every information is there in the book. As a teacher, you need to do 2 things right, at least 2 things right. The first thing is being that bright, positive, energetic person in the class who genuinely loves his or her students. And when you define love, how do you define love between a teacher and a student? I think it's very, very easy. The simple answer is as you love your younger brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. Exactly the same way. If you look at your students as your younger brothers and sisters, a lot of things are answered already. And then if you are this bright, positive, honest person in their class, every day you work on it, to be more honest, to be more brighter, to be much more clearer about your objective. So if you focus on that every single day, that's what you grow and learn as a teacher. And the second thing is that you act as a bridge between what exists and what they need to reach. So you are that bridge that makes learning fun. That makes them get to the class, not because they are going to be punished for lack of attendance, but when there's class and they're staying at home, they feel like running to your class because they don't want to miss it. So I think as a teacher, you genuinely, if you give me a minute more, I'll say something. I read it somewhere. I don't know how true it is, but it said that 85% of your success depends on your attitude. And 15% of your success depends on your qualifications and all that you have achieved. 85% of your success, I'm not too sure about this research, but I read it somewhere, that 85% of it depends on how you manifest that. All that you have learned, studied, your personality, how do you kind of take it and convert it into a life is what defines your success, is 85%. Now, to cut the long story short, when you are a teacher in a classroom, I think 85% of your success depends on the kind of equation or relationship that you have with your students and the way you convince them to love learning. 15% is what what you do with your book and your students. Like you share that information and knowledge, but 85% is the bond that you create. How do you convince students to understand that this is useful and this is going to help them? Never make them ask you a difficult question and you feel humiliated. If they ask you a difficult question, probably you should know the answer. That's the research part of your job. And if you don't know the answer, be humble and polite enough to learn, come back and teach them again. So I think all in all, like rather than crushing their curiosity, making them the most curious people on the planet, I think that is the definition of success for me and my students.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that was a really powerful answer, what you said. I really loved some points, what you mentioned. The first and the most important, like you said, is love, right? Like do it with love. People always can feel it's about not what you know, right? It's like not about your qualifications or books or beautiful classroom or something like this. It's about love that you convey, right? Like, and people, like whether it's kids or adults, they can always feel it. Love for the people and also love for the subject. I believe this is what's important, right? Make it fun also, what you said. Yes, fun. It's actually, like I've seen, I think it was one in one of your TED talks when you were talking about a child who had some learning problems and who asked you to make it fun, right? So like this is so rare now, right? That like when you can learn with fun, because when you learn with fun, of course, like it creates an absolutely different atmosphere, an absolutely different environment, right? Because like you said, if it's just a book, like I can read it at home, right? Like I can watch thousands and millions of videos like on the internet, but it's about like having this love, having fun, your attitude, right? And this actually creates the bonding, which is super, super important in order to build this relationship between a student, like a learner, and a teacher. Otherwise, like if you don't have this bonding, like doesn't matter like how smart you are, how many qualifications you have, it's just not going to work out without this bonding, right?
Absolutely true. And I'll have a very small example to put out here.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but then, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, India. So when he was rallying for India's independence, the literacy rate of India was about 12%. Only 12% people could read or write way back in the 1940s. But then people followed him. So I believe in my head and in my own modest way, I believe that being a teacher is being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Being a teacher is not just being a teacher, it's being a leader, because you're dealing with minds, you're dealing with literally the future of the country. So my simple idea is, if I look up to a leader, say Mahatma Gandhi, only 12% could read or write, which means the rest 88% people could not. So when they were following Mahatma Gandhi, they were not following the policies that he had formulated, or the ideas he had for India after independence, or the constitution of India that was supposed to be written. They were following a leader who they believed in. They were following a leader who motivated them enough to get onto the streets and challenge the mighty British Empire. So in my views, being a teacher is that one person in the class who can lead a team of youngsters to challenge their fate, to tell them that where you are born is not going to dictate your future. Your future is going to be dictated by what you try and make out of this life. So I generally want to be that leader in the classroom, and every single day I move into the class with the same idea that here are a group of children who I'm going to tell these things and make them believe in their own power, and tell them that, okay, if the world is unfair, we are not going to rest until the world becomes fair for us. Mm-hmm. So I think that is the power that I try building up.
Yeah, being a leader, that's what is so important. Yes, when you're a teacher, yes, it's so important to instill this belief, right, into your students that like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I will achieve this. Yes, like you said, there is so much injustice. There has been so much injustice in the past, and there will be so much injustice in the future. But it's about like what you put in their mind, right? Like especially like to believe in yourself, right? It's not just like you're teaching whatever subject you're teaching. It's about like your attitude, as you mentioned. Just a second. And also like being a leader, right? A true leader, a person who can really inspire, who can motivate. And the most important, what I loved about your answer is that to make them believe in themselves. This is so important, because I remember when I studied at school, we just studied, right? It was just so boring. There was no fun. Nobody loved it. Everybody hated it, including some of the teachers. So like, but believing into yourself, like this is so important. This is so empowering, actually. You know, like also like this topic, this is such a powerful topic. And when I saw this, like this talk of yours on TED platform, like it just, I was like, wow, I just love it, right? Like it's so powerful. And I was thinking like myself, like because like as teachers, like of course we understand this, right? But like I went deeper and deeper, thinking like what else teachers should do other than teaching. So some things that like I came to realize that like when we think, for example, I know that you mainly work with kids and teenagers, right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And like, okay, and like in my life, I've been working mainly with adults. So I think like if we take a look at kids, as you mentioned, right, like with kids, it's important when you convey love, when you are fun, when like you can be also like an actor, right? Like, so because like kids really love it. So this like this approach is very important. Like you said, your attitude, your enthusiasm also, right? When we talk about adults, like I can say this like from my side, that with adults, like in order to create this bond that we've spoken about, so like what like adults come from different areas, right? For example, there are people who come from IT industry, there are people who work in the financial sector, doctors and so on, right? And it's so important that it's not just the language that you study, right? Like, for example, I teach languages, I teach English. It's something more than that, right? So it's important that you are a good all-rounder, so which means that you can always support whatever conversation you have with this person, so it becomes interesting for this person, right? So so like people always like to share like about their work, about their experience, about like something about them. And if you are able, right, like if you are an all-rounder, you can easily support and maintain the conversation, and this is where you can start like creating this bond. So yeah, I think like this is important also when we talk about kids, right? Like what you should convey more than just teaching, and also when we talk about adults, right? And in any case, like you mentioned before, it's also about love, right?
Exactly. So I think you know, love can be shown in a lot of ways. So one way of showing love is when you work harder than them and they see it. So that is one way of saying that I care about your future to this extent. So there are different ways, and you know, like the best part is that kids are way smarter than we I think they have this great sense of understanding everything that you do with them in the classroom or even outside. So I is the right fact, but I think you can never be a teacher if you're not learning yourself. You know, I think a lot of people miss out on that, and that's why they get outdated. Unless you are aware, so for example, if you're a doctor, you know, you need to keep up with what's happening around. If you're an engineer, you can't be building things, you know, like say 50 years back, how it was built. So exactly the same way, as a teacher, I have no idea why we don't have those many options of training programs around the world where we get used to what is actually the need of the hour. What are some of the things that the students are finding difficult to learn or understand? And what are the other ways that we can create to support them? So I think, Svetlana, all in all, I think just the logical part of it. You cannot say that I love teaching, but I don't love reading. It has to go hand in hand. I think it's the most common sense based argument that you cannot be saying both the things at the same time. That I love to teach, but I don't love how to learn. And I think it just is a very true situation that you can be an all-rounder if you learn. And by learning, you can definitely give your best as an adult, sharing knowledge with other adults, as an adult, guiding a group of young leaders who we also affectionately call as our students.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that like when you are a teacher, it also makes you a learner, a lifetime learner, because things are like in modern world, things are changing so quickly, right? And it's so important to stay updated with all the new trends, all the new approaches. So whatever subject you are teaching, it's so important always to learn, right? To be a lifetime learner yourself. So I totally agree with you about this. Let's talk a little bit about one of our questions was emotional intelligence, right? So this is something also very, very important, I believe. So first, like maybe let's discuss a little bit what it is, right? Because like we can approach or we can like have our own understandings of this. So first, like what is emotional intelligence personally for you?
So I think, the definition is varied because I serve a different set of communities. So for me, emotional intelligence is all about, if I can put it right, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think if you're able to identify your strengths based on your merits, if you're able to identify your weaknesses based on the inequality that you face, and if you combine the two, your strengths that God has blessed you with, and the ones that you work very hard for, and combining, the negative aspects that affect your life on a daily basis in terms of opportunities, resources, all of that. And if you combine the two, I think you get a right sense of where you stand. And I think that intelligence to me is emotional intelligence when I specifically talk about kids from very challenging, often violent, and low income backgrounds who know for a fact that they have just one shot at life. If they miss it, whatever they have, they won't be able to bounce back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think, yes, it's so important to be emphatic, right? It's like you said, like there are kids who come from kids who come from different backgrounds, and it's so important to show this potential that they have, because I believe every person has potential, right? And it's so important not like to bring it out, right? Yeah. How, like maybe you have some examples, or like what can you say how important it is in teaching, right? So like you said, right, like it's important to bring it out, right? So what can you say more about like the relationship between emotional intelligence and teaching?
To cut the long story short again. So if you're preparing kids for everything, but then you are not helping kids understand that these are the areas that stress them more, or these are the areas that they need to be aware about more, you are probably preparing them for a successful life, but an unhappy successful life, right? So my simple idea to kind of bring about that change is when you actually support them in ways that are different, and when you actually tell them that there are, so simple fact, how do you make sure that a person is able to manage his or her emotions well? The simple fact is, the more pillars of strength they have, the less problem they have managing issues. And how do you create those pillars of strength is, for example, when one of my top students gave me a call, saying that there was no one for him to help him at his stall. His father used to run a roadside stall, and he was very stressed because the next day he had his exam, and his father was unwell, so he had to take up that place and serve street food a night before his exam. So my simple idea is, as a teacher, what do you do then? You're not doing something that's going to be long term, but you're going to be doing something that's short term and have a long term impact on the emotional intelligence of that kid. I did what I don't think I did something great, or I don't think I did something path breaking, but I'm very proud of what I did, and I'm very proud of my profession as a teacher because it allowed me to do something. I rushed to that student's aid. I learned quickly how to manage the stall. And along with his brother, I took care of the stall while he learned his lessons for the next day's exam. He did very, very well in his exam. But my simple idea is that 5 years later, when he looks down at this one incident, he or she, whoever this person would have been, would probably look at it in a way that my teacher went out of way to help me. I don't think I went out of way. I think I did what I had to do. But then for the student, this is going out of way for the teacher. And I think this would help him understand emotional intelligence in a much better detail, creating a support system, an additional pillar of support system, managing his stress a little more effectively, and knowing that there are people to support him and to be by his side when things are needed. So I think with all of this, and this is no preaching, I think every teacher loves his or her students. I don't think I'm an exception to that rule. But then my simple idea is, can we take a step forward and create examples which the student is prouder about? That's it, Svetlana.
Yeah, thank you so much for this answer. I think what you've done, this example, like this is just, this is like so empowering, right? Like this is such a great example of really showing your true love for your students, right? Like for anyone who needs your help. And like, wow, but like I heard it also before in one of your TED Talks, but like this is really, really impressive. And I wish that there would be more teachers like you who could do just the same in a situation like this. This is really impressive. I'm really, really impressed with this.
Can I add something, Svetlana? So,
sure.
I'll tell you something. So there would be hundreds of teachers who would be in a situation like this, but they would be like, okay, should I be doing this, or should this be too extra for me to do? Am I thinking too much? You get what I'm trying to say, right? So there would be a lot of teachers who would have the same feelings, would want to do a similar thing, but would not be sure if a teacher should kind of do it or not. My story is going to help those teachers. Those teachers with that kind of intention are going to be like, okay, if this one teacher did it, let me also take that extra step and help my student. They want to do it, but they are a little unsure. So my simple idea is that, helping my student on a street shop is not path breaking or life changing for anybody. But can that create small examples of success and empathy around the world? I haven't done a great thing, but quoting Mother Teresa, it's my favorite quote. Mother Teresa said this, like, it's not about doing those great things in life. It's about doing those small things with great love. So my simple idea is, can I be that one person doing those small things with great love and telling people with folded hands that if I can do it, you can do it too, and your students probably need it. Just go ahead and do it. So I think with that, I think, a problem would be solved. Huge problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, as I said, this is really, really impressive. And like what you, another thing that you mentioned, this your favorite quote of yours, that about doing, just a second, about doing small things, like whatever, like even if it's a small thing, we do it with love, right? I have actually also an example that I would like to share of emotional intelligence, just to have a better understanding what emotional intelligence is. But my example is actually opposite to yours. So I remember when I was doing
That's interesting.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing my teaching qualification, and
Svetlana, are you there?
yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, technology is very annoying today. Yes, can you hear me?
I lost you for like 5 seconds.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I hope like, okay, can everyone else, I can see some people, can you please write if you can hear us well? Because sometimes it just breaks up, so yeah, I think people are here. Yeah, can someone please write if you can hear us well? Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so yes, I had also an example of a lack of emotional intelligence, very powerful example of. So like I just like when I was doing my teaching qualification, and the tutors just shared with us this example, and like it really stayed in my mind like until now for many years. So, and this is something that can happen in real life actually. So like there is a student who comes to school after the weekend, right? And the teacher asks the student, like, for example, John, like, how was your weekend? And this teacher was like a teacher of some language, right? So like this person, the learner starts saying, the student starts saying that, like my grandparent, like my grandmother or my grandfather died, right? And as he's saying this, he's making mistakes in his sentence, and the teacher starts correcting him, right? So this is a very powerful like example of a total lack of emotional intelligence, right? So like what people are sharing with us, like we have to like share their feelings also. And it's so important, like also to like there's such an expression like to read the room, right? Like read your audience, right? And what it actually means to try to get these feelings, right? Like if you feel that your students understand you, if you feel that they are maybe upset with something, or like in this example, right? Like such a vivid example of like total lack of emotional intelligence. Another thing also that I would like to add is like, as humans, like we have different emotions, right? And it's okay to be like frustrated, like annoyed, like with technology today, right? Like, but I mean, like in the classroom. So, but it's also so important as an emotionally intelligent person to be able to control your feelings, right? Like never show that you're angry in front of your students, or for example, like especially when this concerns the patients, right? So for example, if you explain something multiple times and still your students or student don't get you, right? Like it's so important to be patient, right? To control your emotions and don't not to show that you are angry or frustrated or annoyed, right? Because like this will immediately like will ruin and destroy everything.
No, absolutely, but I think Svetlana, I would like to add something which I'm most proud of as a teacher. I have been teaching for about 7 years now, and this is something that made me fall in love with teaching. I was like, my God, I never realized that being a teacher was so important. I knew it was very important from day one, but I honestly never knew that it was that important when this happened. Gaurav would know it better because I think he's from India. So I will be very clear in sharing a couple of things about India first. So I think India is a very tolerant country. I think India has been a very tolerant country for centuries, Svetlana. We have all the religions in the world practiced. We have equal rights for every citizen in this country. I think I'm very proud of being an Indian, very proud. And I love this country of mine. But then, no country is perfect. We are a huge country. We have 1.38 billion people. Now, 54 countries of Africa put together. Africa is a continent. It has 54 countries. The population of all those 54 countries put together equals the population of our country, India. We are that big. We are as huge as Africa in terms of population. So there are cases which are difficult for us to justify. There are cases of violence between communities, and that happens. That's wrong. That should be stopped. But then there are those kind of cases. So I will never ever say that India is intolerant. India cannot be intolerant. But this one incident happened in India in early years of my teaching, and there was a Hindu-Muslim riot, which doesn't really happen much these days. Thankfully, we are a much happier and bonded country. But then it does happen at times. The news plays it up. You know that. So we have freedom of press. Some of the news channels like to kind of stroke these kind of things out of proportion and share it, terrifying the young minds of the country. So I and you can understand this, but a teenager probably finds it a little difficult to get to the bottom of the stuff. So I come across a Muslim student of mine. He comes to me and he says, "Are we safe?" Now, I could understand what that would mean if a Muslim student of mine who's a teenager is asking his teacher that question, right? And I could clearly see that, he looked very disturbed. So my idea was that, I need to do something to help this child out of this, because India is a very loved country and a respected country. No person in India should feel scared. And it was my duty as a teacher. I'm a Hindu, and we have a very sacred festival of Navratri. So 9 days we worship goddess Durga during those 9 days. I religiously fast during those 9 days every year. Now that year, I also decided not to eat when my students, Muslim students, were fasting during Ramzan. I would not eat when they would be fasting. And that kind of led to a bond that I will never forget. So that, I think, was a turning point in my teaching career, where I understood that if you genuinely care for your students, these ideas come naturally to you. You don't have to plan anything for them. There is a kid who is scared. You need to pull him out, whether he's a Hindu or a Muslim. Right? And the second thing, Svetlana, you will be quite amazed to know this. 1.5 years later, when the results were supposed to be announced, my student wanted to pray at Haji Ali Dargah in Mumbai. I was in Mumbai at that time. I get a call from the same guy saying, "Can you please pray on my behalf, because I won't be able to make it to Mumbai today." Now just imagine a person who was scared now trusted me with his prayers. So I always say that was my winning moment. I had won as a teacher and as an Indian. I had won because I had been able to convince that child in my classroom that this country is for everyone. And there are people who are going to love you and respect you, irrespective of which faith you are from. We have space in our heart and love for every person. Whether you're a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, a Hindu, a Sikh, a Jain, or a Buddhist, we love you. We are all one and united. So when I was able to do that, Svetlana, I think I genuinely think that I did justice to my job as a teacher. And that's why I say teachers cannot just teach. They have several other things to take care of. Over to you, Svetlana.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing such powerful examples. Like, this is really impressive and really powerful what you mentioned also about fasting, about supporting your students like this. Like, wow, I'm so impressed with what you do. And yeah, like one of our like people who are watching us, Gaurav, is saying, what's Satyam? And yeah, I just wanted to read this to you so you can know this too. What Satyam has touched is really important, and I resonate with it. So many young minds being misled by so many sources. A good mentor, a good teacher can make or break a life at that moment. Yes, I absolutely agree with this. Exactly what you mentioned before, like especially I think if you work with kids, like they come with very different backgrounds, right? Like maybe violent, as you said, like maybe, as you said, non-safe also. This is very scary actually. And it's so important like to instill this belief into them, right? That you are important, that you are smart, right? That you mean something, that you will be able to achieve many things in your life, that you are valuable and worthy, right? Like first you are important as a person, and then everything else, right? Everything else is secondary. Because I remember at school they would always like there were so many teachers who were so harsh on us and saying, and almost saying something like you are smart enough. And like even my personal example, like nobody actually ever believed that one day I would be able to get into college, into university, right? So it took me 5 years, 5 consecutive years to get into university. And finally I got into university. I did graduate from university at the age of 27. So it took me much longer than my peers to graduate from university, but I can really relate and resonate to what you're saying, because it was like in my mind what teachers and other people were trying to put, that like you are not good enough, you are not smart enough, you will never be able to achieve this, you will never be able to get into university, right? So yeah, that's so important what you said, and really I can relate and resonate with this.
Svetlana, your story reminds me of something very powerful. I mean, first of all, congratulations to you that you listened to your heart, and you made sure that you achieve what you're here for, and not what other people want you to go through. So I think kudos to you and congratulations to you for being that fighter. The second thing, Svetlana, that I always believe, and I think after hearing this story of yours, I believe a lot more in that, is that, I read this very powerful line: be that one person you always wanted when you were growing up. Right? So had there been a person who would have patted your back and said, Svetlana, you'll make it, don't worry. You're smart, you will make it to university. You don't have to worry about that. Listen to everybody, but follow your own heart. Had there been one person who would have supported you, I think you would have achieved the same things, but you'd have achieved it with a lot of lighter heart, with lesser pressure, right? So my simple idea, sharing this with you is, can I be that one person to every single child in my classroom who I wanted during my childhood when I was growing up? Can I be that one person? And that does answer a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so important, really, really important. Yeah, it's like when we put ourselves like when we teach kids, right? Like, and we think like go back in our time, like when we were kids, right? And the way teachers treated us and how they made us feel, right? So when we teach kids, like we can think like, okay, is this person like, what impact am I making on this person, on this child, right? Like, also I can say that even now, like sometimes I can feel like still like there are a lot of like, there's such word in English like non-sayers, right? Like people who always tell you that like you will never be able to just a second, you will never be able to reach this, you will never be able to do that and this and so many things. Like, I think it's actually, it happens like throughout all our lives. Like, it's, at least in my case, like in my situation, like even now, like when I want to start something new, or when I want to do this or that, like there's so like there are people who just like they just laugh at it, they don't believe in it, but still, like I just know this, you know, like this example from my childhood taught me that, like do whatever you believe in, right? Like before, I remember you shared with me you teach because you believe in it so much, right? And it also touched me so much because like when we believe in something, then we become invincible, right? And then nobody can stop us from anything. So that's so important, like to believe in it, to believe in yourself. And really, from like my example, from many other examples, like whoever is watching us and listening to us, like, and never listen to people, to these naysayers, right? Like people who tell you like you're not good enough, you will never be able to do this, to get this, to achieve this. Believe in yourself, trust
I'll tell
yourself,
you
trust
something.
your values.
Svetlana, I just have to share something with you. So I
Yeah,
strongly
please do.
believe these naysayers are the spices of life.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, just
They
make the
actually
job
give us this
interesting.
necessary push.
I
Right?
love it. You know, the more naysayers I have, the more happy I feel. To be honest with you, I'm not making it up, because you know it just makes the thought powerful. You know, you are all the more convinced that now you have to do it. You know, not for them, but because you believe in your own capacity. You know, so that's one thing. And the second thing is that another thought from Mahatma Gandhi is that about the naysayers is, and listen to this very carefully, I love this and I think it's a very powerful thought, and I hope that all of you like it as well. It says that first they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. End of story. So first, the naysayers are going to laugh at you. Then they will fight with you. And then the third thing is the most important thing, is that you win. End of story. That there's no laughing and no fighting. So my simple idea is that let naysayers be saying it. And you know, like I think only people who have been very crazy to think that they can change the world have been able to change the world. So any new idea is a crazy idea. If an idea is not new, it's not crazy because it has already been implemented. If you're thinking of a new idea, it is probably going to be a crazy idea. People are going to think you're crazy, but then you don't live for everyone. You live for your dreams, your passion, your commitment, your instincts. Go ahead and do it. So I totally think that it makes a lot of sense, you know, proving naysayers wrong. I think it's a great way to live life. You know, it just keeps your life very thrilled and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Get up to a challenge. You don't have a boring life.
Yeah, it's exactly, yes, I agree with what you said, that they give spice to life, right? It's like they give you this push, because I just was thinking about this today myself, that like when I'm in my comfort zone, actually I relax, and then I stop, you know, like achieving more things, right? But when there's a push in my life, right, like when people say like, oh, like you're not good enough, you cannot do this, like it gives you this, you know, like this push that we need. And also
For me to be honest, it's the greatest positive motivation.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, it comes as a negative motivation, but then you know somehow it reaches my brain and becomes a positive motivation. So I don't know what's inside, but you know it just works in a different way, I believe. It
yeah,
helps me.
it's like you
Helps me
mentioned.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you mentioned, probably we like we have this streak of craziness because, yeah. And yeah, and also another thing that I love that you mentioned about, like, first they laugh at us, then they fight us, and then we win, right? So and there are so many examples like this, right? Like examples of very influential people, right? Like very famous coaches.
Svetlana, I'm not able to hear you properly. Svetlana,
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, now I can. Yes, now I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying that I really love this, what you mentioned from, it was Mahatma Gandhi, right? Who said that first they laugh at us, then they fight us, and then we win, right? So there are so many examples like this in the world, right? Like people who became like really influential, they have like millions of followers. These are the people, like for them, not everything was, like going in a smooth way, in a direct way, right? There were so many naysayers, right? There were so many failures, right? It's like you fail so many times, and like you make mistakes, you go through so many hardships, and then you succeed, right? And then you have, like, you can coach other people. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. Okay, let's talk about one of our other questions about, so like there's a TED talk also by a lady from the United States, I think, where she mentioned that kids, but maybe I can rephrase it a little bit. She said that kids don't learn from people who they don't like. So I changed it a little bit, like learners don't learn from teachers who they don't like. So like I also have some of my own ideas, but I would love to listen to you, what you think on this, and then like we can.
I think it's a very natural thing, for kids, and for everyone else also. Like, I mean, do you vote for a leader who's not convincing enough? You never vote for a leader who's not convincing enough. Do you go to watch a movie which has an actor who or an actress you don't like? You probably are never going to go for that movie unless it has some really amazing script. So basically, I think we as human beings like something and dislike the other things, right? We like some of the things, we don't like some of the things. I think it's common human nature, and it's for everything, right? From restaurants to movies, to leaders, to everything. So if I am in a classroom with a set of students and they don't like me, it's my responsibility as a teacher to understand why and how can I change it to become a better teacher and a better human being, probably. Uh, and the other thing, about kids is that they have very little requirement for them to love you. All they want is that you're honest and that you genuinely care. That has been my learning so far. They just want you to be honest and, love them with all your heart, like be honest to them. I think these two things, are an indicator for children to understand if they like you or if they don't like you. But what I have seen is, the kind of teachers that I have been blessed to work with, I have mostly worked with teachers who have been loved by their students. So I think I'm quite lucky in that department. But yes, I think the requirements are very less, and I think one can easily do that. Take care of those requirements and be a loved person. And I think it's absolutely true that children don't learn from people they don't like. Absolutely. I mean, I think they're very, very tough on guys or girls they don't like. But
Yeah.
it's very easy for children to love you and admire you and be your best friend. Provided you are just honest with them and you are there for them. That's all they need, I believe.
Yeah, I see. What do you think about adults? Do you think it works in the same way with adults?
No. I think it's a different thing altogether. Uh, yes. Gaurav is absolutely right. I'm just reading his comment. Yes, Gaurav. So I'm saying a different thing altogether. I'm not saying that a teacher should not be strict. Discipline in the classroom has to be maintained. For that, the teacher has to be strict on certain occasions. What I intend to say is that you can be strict and loving at the same time. Again, coming back to the same point, how are you mostly with your younger brothers or sisters? You love them, you care for them, you're honest with them, but then you also have a thin line of discipline separating the two of you. They cannot cross that line, right? Because you're their elder brother or sister. The same way, like a loving mother doesn't mean that she will probably say no to discipline in the house. She's a loving mother. She prepares great food for you. She takes care of you and she loves you. Absolutely. But then she will not let you do everything at home. You need to have certain restrictions that are good for you. I believe that as a teacher, we must be strict where it's required, where it's for the children's good. And they also will grow up to realize how wonderful that person was who taught me this. So being strict is definitely required. Being strict is definitely a requirement for you to succeed as a teacher. But you need to be very clear in your instructions, in your intent, and in your messaging of that instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think. And perfect, Gaurav. And Svetlana, you were saying something.
No, I just was, what I was thinking, about, like, I agree with you profoundly that it's a little bit different with kids and adults also. And I was thinking about this question myself. Like, I remember in the past when I heard it, I was so impressed, and I was like, yes, like my immediate answer was yes. And then I started, like contemplating more about it. Like what you mentioned with kids, yes, I absolutely agree that it's love that you show, that you demonstrate, and also when you are honest, right? Because whether it's kids or adults, they always can feel if you are not honest with them. They can always have this sense, right? Yes, with kids, like it's like when you have these feelings for them, they will always give you these feelings back, right? You will get the same feelings back, right? Like they will love you back. What I mean, with adults, I just was thinking. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yes, I don't know what's happening to technology today, really.
No problem. With adults, if your question is, does it work with the adults in the same way, or what has my experience been? To be honest with you, I think no, it doesn't work the same way with adults. I think adults are way more professional, if I can call it that, and they have a much. So how I look at it is that kids kind of. Kids are way more emotionally driven than adults.
Mm-hmm.
I think adults are more result oriented, interest oriented. In a kid, you can develop interest. Adults, it's difficult to develop interests. They have already developed it. They will follow their passion and they will follow what they love. But I think for adults, this has been my experience. I'm no one to pass judgments on it or to share a formula for it. But I think, in my own opinion, I think adults are very professional. Even if they don't like you, they can still be friends with you. They can still learn from you. They can still work with you absolutely well. But children cannot. Children need that emotional support. Children want you to be like them. They love people more who have similar interests as them. So I think with children it's very different, and I think with adults it's different. I completely think that that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I also agree that it's actually, yes, different. Like when I was thinking about this myself, right? Like mainly I work with adults, and I was thinking, like, when I go to class, like, what is my goal? Is my goal to be liked by the students? No, I don't set this as my priority, right? It's not my goal at all. My first goal is to be professional, right? And by being professional, it involves if you love your subject, because it clearly shows whether to kids or to adults, if you love what you're doing, what you're teaching, if you are well prepared, what methods you are using, right? Like how you treat the audience, right? So yeah, with adults, I really liked what you said, that like maybe sometimes they feel that they don't really like you, maybe as a person, but they see that you are actually professional, and they can learn from you, they make some progress. So in that case, yes, with adults it's a little bit different, because like their judgments are different from what, like how kids judge you, right? With kids, it's just like more, as you said, like just showing love to them, right? Like being fun, and then they will just love you back, I guess. But yeah, you work more with kids, so yeah, you can share
I would like
about
to add something, Svetlana. I think one of the most important things that kids love is your knowledge. You know, one thing that can get kids to respect you instantaneously is if they get to know that you're intelligent and knowledgeable. You know, if the kids feel that you are intelligent and you have enough knowledge of your subject, you know, I think that kind of genuinely helps them look up to you as a leader. You know, I think the most ridiculed teachers are the ones who fail in one of the three things. Either it's knowledge or language skills, you know, so they get ridiculed, majorly ridiculed by the students. Second is who are very strict with them. You know, strict beyond a point will earn you their ridicule and laughter rather than love and admiration. And the third is students who are not able to connect with certain teachers because of age, because of the way they teach, because of the way they appear. A lot of things could be considered. And I don't say that it's right, but then they are kids. They are learning with you. So I think I'm not justifying that to ridicule a teacher is right. I'm never going to do that. I'm a teacher myself. But I think a lot of teachers who face that kind of issue probably is because of that disconnect, because of if the students think that the teacher is not qualified enough. I think that's one of the greatest challenges. You know, so I think this has been my observation. With respect to adults, things change because adults are actually chasing a dream. Kids do not have a dream. You know, if you ask a lot of kids, they would want to become astronauts. They would want to become, the president of United States of America. You know, so they will have all those rosy ideas. They would want to become the top footballer in the world. You know, they will have those kind of aspirations, which are really good and healthy to have, but they are developing it gradually. And they have the freedom to choose who they want to be. But with adults, they are choosing and they are fighting for something that they love, believe, and are passionate about. So their goals are more important than who they are working with. With children, their goals are constantly changing. So it's very important who they are working with. I think that's the major difference that I have understood over the time working with both children and adults.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think you broke it down really well. Yes, with adults, you are more result oriented, right? When they come to classes, they know what they come for. But with kids, they just have like these rosy dreams, as you called it, right? Like, so they don't actually see their final goal. Yeah.
No, I would generally want kids to be the president of United States, and if they're US born, and to be the greatest footballer on earth. But then what I wanted to say is that one, that it generally brings a lot of joy in your heart as a teacher when you hear these stories from children, and you feel that they're so positive. You know, they're such positive souls, and may God bless them, and may they achieve what they dream of. But at the same time, you're also convinced that if they have the right teachers, they will be showed the right path. They can dream, they have the right to dream, and they must dream. But then the realization that this is impossible should kill their dream. It should transform their dream. There's a big difference between saying you can never be the president of the United States of America, or saying that, okay, maybe you cannot be this, but you can get as close as this to this role. And there is a lot of difference. So killing a dream is easier. Transforming a dream into something achievable, something more tangible, is a little difficult. But if you're able to get there, I think you have done your job as a teacher and as a leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love your example, what you said. Yes, killing a dream and demotivate is very easy when you just say like, no, you will never be able to do this, right? But like when you can.
Before I forget it, Svetlana, I'm
Yeah,
really sorry I'm cutting it short, but I might forget it and the
yeah,
entire
yeah.
message could be lost. So really sorry, but just adding on to that one thing, is that uh, believing in those rosy dreams of those children is probably the best and the easiest way to earn their love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not telling them to be bizarre and say all kinds of things, but just trusting them and gradually taking them on a real life, which is not very different from their rosy picture. Can we do that? Can we engineer that? Can we be dream engineers for those students? Can we engineer their dreams? Saying that, okay, this may be impossible, but this is possible and this is very close to what you're thinking. Can we be those engineers, helping kids find their passion and work relentlessly towards achieving it? So my simple idea is believe in those crazy dreams, however crazy they are, because at least they have the right and privilege to dream. We as adults don't even have that. So support those little kids, little human beings, with a pat on their back and saying, I believe in you. We will work out something. That's a big plus.
Yeah, and this is how you get their love. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. Yeah, this is actually very interesting, and yeah, as you said that like to kill someone's dream and to demotivate someone, like it's the easiest thing you can do. So simple and so easy, but actually to transform it and to change their like perspective, their ideology, like to use the right words to do that. It's actually like so important to do that. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, one more question I have for you. Like I really love like the way you're like you're thinking about like all these things that we are discussing, because I also thought a lot about it myself, but like what you're sharing, it's also something that never came to my mind. So yeah, it's just like it's really inspiring and motivating what you're saying, like to me, and I'm sure to other people also who are watching us now and who will be watching later. Maybe we will have also another session in the future, because this one didn't work out as we had planned, but it's okay. Yeah, so having so much experience and having changed the lives of so many people in your own country, India, and in other countries, what advice can you give to teachers who just start out? Like maybe also I can expand it a little bit, like what you've learned from your mistakes that you would advise to other teachers, especially those who start out, like not to repeat just like you did.
When I was starting off, I think it's a very, very good question. And when I was starting off, I was actually looking for that. I was actually looking for that one answer that I'm going to be starting off as a teacher. I have the right intent. I have the right knowledge for this job. But what do I need to do to make sure that things fall in place? I met my principal. He was literally my guardian from grade 6th all to grade 12th. And I met him. His name is Father Jose Takel. So he's a priest. He's a Franciscan priest, and he would run my school here. So I went to him only with this one question that, Father, I generally want to ask you that I'm going to be starting off new. Any suggestion, because you have been a principal of this school for such a long time, your experience, anything that you would want to tell me as a teacher. So he smiled, and I will never forget those golden words. And I think those words made me who I am as a teacher. And I think it was the very basis of our discussion today. He said that, Satyam, your students are going to love what you teach only if they love you. One statement did to me. It just made things crystal clear. And I immediately went back to my own childhood And I was like, yes, that makes total sense. If I liked the teacher, I performed way better in his or her subject. If I did not like the teacher, so that's why, say in grade 8th, history was my favorite subject. In grade 9th, it was chemistry. In grade 10th, it was math. Why? I had the same class with the same set of students. Things changed because the teacher changed. Things changed because the way I would look at that subject changed, because I had more love and connection with that teacher. I could identify with that teacher. And the last and the most important thing, Svetlana, I had this belief that that teacher believes in me. When I would look at that teacher, I would see that confidence in his or her eyes, saying that, okay, Satyam, I trust you, you will do well. That motivated me as a student. So when I'm on the other side as a teacher, can I at least do one little thing, that is to believe in every single student who's sitting in my classroom? That's it. Maybe I'm not happy with the way he or she behaves in my classroom. Maybe I'm not happy with the way he or she treats me. But can I at least, as a teacher, as an adult, as a professional, take one thing into account, that I will have firm belief in the capacity of every single student in my class. The second tip that I will give all my teachers who are going to be joining, who are already teaching, with, this is my humble request to each one of you. I'm saying it based on my experience. Do let me know what you think about it. And I beg your pardon if I'm saying anything wrong, but not to have any favorite child. Mm-hmm. Never have a favorite in your class. Never. Never be partial to any single student based on academic excellence, sports abilities, because he likes you or she likes you more. Don't do that. Love everyone equally, respect every single student equally. I think that builds such a strong class culture, because the student knows that this teacher is not partial to anyone, loves all of us equally. So simple thing is, no favorite students. And despite of the fact that some of the students don't like you, some of the students laugh at you, some of the students criticize you, you are going there into the classroom every single day with a firm belief that I love all my students. I am standing with that textbook for every single student to learn equally well. That's it. I will respect every student the same way. That's it.
Yeah, that was powerful. That was impressive. Thank you so much. Yeah. The second thing that you mentioned, yeah, because the first one we already discussed a little bit, but the second one is, yeah, that's very important what you mentioned. Actually, this is something I haven't thought about, like in terms of giving advice, but that's so important what you mentioned, like never to show favoritism, right? Because it will impact a lot of things in a negative way. And it's actually in any industry, like whether you are also a manager and you treat your employees like this is so unprofessional, right? So like as leaders, as teachers, like we can never show favoritism.
Because Svetlana, the other side is you are paid for teaching every single child. You're not paid to teach that one kid or 5 kids in your classroom. So even morally, ethically, analytically, it's wrong if you favor a group, and it damages your class culture beyond repair. Mm-hmm. So my idea has been very, very clear right from day one, that no matter which classroom I get, all these students are going to be my favorite students. I'm not going to have 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 favorite kids. Never. Mm-hmm. They're all going to be equally good to me. I'm going to be equally good to them. End of story. If they criticize me, I'm matured enough to handle that criticism. To get deeper into it, maybe I'm doing something funny. I need to change that. That's how I'm going to grow as a teacher. Or maybe I need to care a little more about that one student, understand where he or she is coming from, and be more responsible as a teacher. So that's the moral of the story, Svetlana, that I strongly believe in. And I mean, I'm getting reminded of a lot of stories from my childhood when I became a teacher. So this session has truly brought in all those memories alive, and I'm very grateful to you for this time.
Thank you. I'm also very grateful for you. Yeah. Just like on the last thing that you said, I was going to just a little bit of a comment that, yeah, like
Svetlana, I've lost you again.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Svetlana? I can't. Yes, now I think I can.
Okay, yes. I don't know what's happening to technology yet. So yeah, what I was going to say, yes, no favoritism. Like when some people show favoritism, I believe this is highly unprofessional in any industry. This is not the quality of a leader, definitely not the quality of a professional teacher.
Definitely.
It's important what you said. Yes, you go into a classroom and you believe equally in everyone. You treat everyone with love and respect, again, equally. Even you feel that maybe, yes, there are some kids or some students, learners who don't really like you, but I guess like at the end of the day, it's okay, right? Because it's not our goal. We don't go there to be liked by everyone, right? So it's absolutely okay.
You win them over by your honesty and by telling them that irrespective of the fact that you like me or you don't like me, you are my students and you are a part of my family. As simple as that. So maybe you have given up on me, but I will never give up on you.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Yeah, I really love it so much. Yeah, as you said, like you are a part of my family. Like I used to say that, like being friendly, but like you put it, we also had a short chat about this before this session. And I remember when you said it and I was like, wow, I can say it again, like, wow, like the way you see it, the way you convey it is just like so impressive. When you treat your students like as they are your family members with love, with so much respect, like this is so impressive and so powerful and so touching, I can say. And also, as you mentioned about being honest, right? I also believe, like, absolutely, this is also one of my pieces of advice that, for example, if students, like, it doesn't matter whether it's kids or adults, if they ask you something and if you don't know the answer, it's absolutely okay. Like what I've seen from my observation, there are teachers who will try to make up, like immediately. They don't know the answer, but they will make up the answer in order not to lose like their face. So yes, never do this, because people always can sense this. And when it's absolutely okay, and it's actually, you will deserve much more respect when you say, I don't know this, like it's absolutely okay. However, it's important when you say that I will learn about it and I will get back to you later on this, right? By doing this, you put yourself on equal, right? Like with the students, you are not showing that you are like sage on the stage, right? Like you are showing that you are so smart, right? You actually you can show that you are also just as them, right? Like they don't know something, you don't know something, it's absolutely okay, right? Like this way you can build this stronger connection, this stronger bonding with your students, right?
So I would build this class culture very, very clearly, that from the very first day I would say that anyone who thinks that he or she knows everything is either ignorant or doesn't know how vast the knowledge is.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a mathematician, I would not know zoological terms for animals or plants. Botanical names of plants and zoological names of animals. I would not know that. Say if I'm a history teacher, probably I would not know the capitals of every country in the world. If I'm an Indian, I would not know a word in Japanese, right? So that doesn't make me stupid or dumb. So my simple idea to my students was, and I think I used it to communicate that if you are lagging behind in math, doesn't mean you're stupid. It's just a different language that you need to learn. Like I need to learn so many things myself. So I think that was kept very clear. Yeah, that we are all together in this. I know a couple of things that you don't know, probably because I'm a little elder to you. I'm here to transfer that knowledge and information. You make it your own and make it better. I never claimed to know everything. And I was very clear in telling every single student that there's no one in this world who knows everything except for probably Google.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yes, sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I just was going to say that, like, when we admit that we don't know something, which is absolutely okay, and this is how it should be, this way we inspire confidence in students, right? That they feel more confident about themselves, right? Because, like, I've seen so many teachers in my life that they try to show it, just as you said, that they try to show that they know everything, but they end up just looking ridiculous at the end of the day, right?
I don't think that's advised at all for any teacher, because I think I mean, like another thing is, if you are a teacher, like for example, if you're a driver, you should not drink, right? No drinking is a rule for you. If you start drinking, you are going to land up having a major accident someday. Exactly the same way, the moment you become a teacher, the first thing that you should get rid of is your ego. Get rid of it. You don't know everything. You're not the smartest person on earth, but you are probably training the smartest people on earth, your students. Right? So I think as a teacher, you must be very forgiving. You must be very accommodating, and ego should have no place in your life. So I think those are the basic requirements for being a teacher. And exactly as you said, that you don't know everything, you learn and you grow with your students, and I think it kind of makes a great bond. That's true.
Yeah, it's like, don't be afraid to also look foolish sometimes, right? This is actually the feature of a very wise people, to look foolish, right? Not everyone can afford looking foolish. So yeah, this is exactly what you said.
If you're confident and you don't have an ego problem, then I think you can lead a class very, very well.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're confident, as you said, yeah, exactly.
Confident and no ego. I think that makes a good personality of a teacher in a classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really loved your ideas. I can say that, wow, I'm impressed. That was so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing so much. And I hope that everyone who's with us today, you've learned something. Yeah, just thank you so much. If you have, Satyam, do you still have like a few minutes? Maybe some people want to ask some questions. If you have a few more minutes. Okay, so I can see some people. So if you have any questions, please ask us and we will be happy to address your questions. And also, like, while you're thinking about your questions, I can say that, so maybe you didn't hear this in the beginning. So Satyam has 4 TED Talks, and if you want to watch all of them or one of them or anything you want to watch, you can go to our event on Facebook, and I've posted all of them so you can watch them. All of them are very inspiring, powerful, impressive, and yeah, some people, okay, say great. Yeah, so they're all related to education, and I can say that, like, I even watched a few times some of your talks, Satyam. So, like, yeah, what you're doing is really, like, you're changing the whole world, and I was so happy to have found you on Facebook, and I'm so happy that we could arrange this session. Hopefully we can also do it on Facebook, so many people, more people can join us, right? And the technology will be better. So yeah, like, so again, like, if you have any questions. Okay, someone says, no, I don't have any questions. Very informative talk. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, if I pronounce the name correctly, Ted Nin Swe. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for listening to us. And okay, we have one question. Do you believe encouragement is important to students? Why? Would you like to address this one about encouragement?
Definitely. I think one thing that you can definitely give students, it doesn't cost anything, is encouragement. To be very honest, I have worked with refugee children at the Syrian border. I have worked with children who come from very disturbing backgrounds, challenging, violent, in India. I have worked with students in Bulgaria, the Roma community, the Gypsy community in Bulgaria. The common aspects across these varied regions has been a lack of encouragement. I mean, their parents are so wonderful, they're loving, they're caring, but then the society, the people around, it just is difficult. So I think encouragement is one of the most important things, because the kids need it, and the kids respond very, very well to encouragement. They value it, they treasure it, and I think every single kid must be encouraged. Encouragement is so powerful for them that it can truly transform their academics. I'm speaking with a lot of experience in this department, and I can assure you that if you just encourage kids, even that's enough for them to take up a huge fight and become a much better person and a much better student. Fight with their own problems and issues and rise above them all. So I think encouragement is a must, most important for all students.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely agree with this. Yes, motivation. I like to talk a lot about motivation, encouragement, that like, especially if you work with people, especially like if you work with adults or with kids, especially, that encouragement is something that like you cannot teach without encouragement. Like in that case, it will be just like if you cannot like encourage your students, like what their progress will be, right? What the result will be, right? Like it will not come to anything, right, at the end of the day. So encouragement is really, really important in teaching in other areas like motivation. So Momo, to answer your question, like absolutely, it's important. Absolutely, if there's no encouragement, like there's nothing, like nothing else, right?
True. Absolutely.
Okay, that technology is acting up again. Okay, if you can hear me and if you have more questions, please do ask. We will be happy to answer. Okay, Momo says, thank you in advance for your precious time. I'd love to join more events. Momo, thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, what's happening to technology today? Okay. Okay, can you please text if you can hear me, because Satyam is not here, but I guess he will be back. Something happened again with the technology. So can you please text if you can hear me? Yes, okay. So so I would like to say thank you, a huge thank you to all of you who joined us today. I hope that you, like, whether you are a teacher or a learner, I hope that you found some encouragement, inspiration for yourself and motivation for yourself. Okay, thank you so much. Hope to join more sessions in the future. Yes, I will run more sessions in the future, and hopefully they will happen on Facebook and technology will be better next time. I really felt bad about having to transfer this to Zoom, so like not many people could join us. So yes, Satyam, welcome back. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I
Helping.
just was saying, so people were just texting, so that thank you so much, that it was very informative, and people were thanking you for your thank you.
To everyone listening, this has been possible only because of this wonderful lady. and she has been very encouraging. I think she treats me like a child. So she has been very encouraging of my work. She keeps telling me that all the impossible things that I think of are true. So I think, Svetlana, I'm learning from you how to deal with kids. So you have been my teacher, and to be very honest, this was possible only because of her efforts, and I'm very happy to share that I'm not the only teacher she is sharing the story of with the world. She has been doing it with so many teachers across. And I think you should definitely create an e-library of some sort, Svetlana, that will help teachers like us across the world. And more power to you. And thank you so much, everyone who's listening, for going on Facebook and then following us on Zoom. It means so much to us. So thank you so much for being here. And we generally tried sharing all that could help. And I hope that you like the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I loved what you said. Thank you. And thank you everyone who joined us today. I hope you found it informative, and now you feel more inspired, more encouraged, more motivated. And please stay tuned for our future events. And yes, we are going to do, like, also in the future, like now I'm working on a very huge global project. So this is something that I will announce later, something that I will be very happy to see all of you there. It will be a project for teachers, for learners all over the world. So thank you so much again. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. I will be happy to address like any questions, like maybe there are certain topics that you would like to watch in the future. Maybe you have more questions for Satyam also. So we will be happy to get back in contact with you. So thank you so much again. Have a good day, everyone, and stay happy, stay healthy, and stay motivated, and we will see you in the future. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Namaste from India to everyone.
Thank you. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Bye.